Thanks for joining us. New week, new month here. 6 a.m. now. I'm Eric Connert.
And I'm Neda Irampour. Yeah, glad you're with us here. Hope you had a nice weekend. I know a lot of people were drenched over the weekend. Let's check in with meteorologist Evan Narani. You gave us the heads up, and I think still people were hopeful.
Yes, and I appreciate the optimism.
And some people were able to hold things in between the spotty showers.
Like the Padres.
Exactly.
I mean,
Padres saw their game Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. Yeah, dried out a little bit. So there were some plus sides to that forecast. I mean, I will say, however, that we did have quite a bit of rain that came through early Saturday morning into the afternoon before things dried out by Saturday evening. And then again, Sunday was just a day of spotty showers. We are still watching as here on Monday morning, a few remaining showers pass through, but in general, we're looking at a dry day. Best spot for showers today is going to be over the mountains, but you see how there's still some instability out there. Shows that temperatures are expected to warm up by a pretty decent margin compared to over the weekend. Over the weekend, we were mostly in the 50s. Today, we're going for 65 along the coastline, 67 inland, and we're going to warm up really nicely out there for Tuesday, Wednesday. Coming up, we'll talk about how warm we'll get and about the next storm on the horizon. Back to you.
Looks gorgeous out there right now. Thank you, Evan. Starting today, the minimum wage for fast food workers in California will jump to $20 an hour.
Some businesses say they will have to raise prices or cut staff. CBS 8's Regina Yarita is working for your wallet live in Kearny Mesa to see how this could potentially impact you. Good morning, Regina.
Yeah, good morning. And we do know that restaurants like McDonald's will see their hourly pay jump to $20 an hour starting today. Now, this is a win for thousands of fast food workers who say they just want livable wages. But as we're learning, not everyone thinks this is a good idea. So far what we know is this does start today, but many are worried that the higher wages could have a ripple effect on customers. Now, fast food chains, including McDonald's and Chipotle, say they plan to raise menu prices to make up for the higher wages, and some businesses say they will need to cut staff. State labor filings say some Pizza Hut locations are already laying off workers. Hundreds of delivery drivers are the ones that could be impacted. Now, the law will be affecting about 500,000 fast food workers across the state, many of which lawmakers say are adults working to support their families. Take a listen.
It's very expensive to live here in San Diego, and it's hard just to make it out here. So I think it's wonderful. People need higher wages to live here.
I'm a small business. I own a juice company, and hiring employees at $20 an hour is like a pretty steep for me just starting.
And of course, some of the issues that are being brought up are still some of speculation. So of course, we'll have to wait and see how this is all going to unfold now that this new hourly minimum wage for fast food workers is taking effect today. That's latest here in Kearny Mesa. Regina Yarita, CBS 8.
Regina, thank you. And look at this. Right now, crews are trying to fix this road collapse. It happened Saturday afternoon during all the rain on First Avenue in Bankers Hill. The street here closed from Nutmeg to Maple Streets. We'll keep you posted as soon as we learn more about this. And hundreds of families are still recovering from the January floods 10 weeks later now.
Right now, some of the emergency help is coming to an end. CBS 8's Chris Grow live outside the county administration building with what officials are urging flood victims to do right now. Chris?
Yeah, good morning, Eric and Neda. And so for those folks who unfortunately had to move out of their homes due to flood damage that have been staying in county temporary lodging, well, there's been a plan that's been put out now to help them transition out of that temporary lodging. Now, they will all have to either leave by or before May 11th, and we're talking about 800 households. So this is going to be quite the endeavor here. Now, people will be placed into one of three groups in order to have people move out at different times. Those who have been notified will be told to move out within 7 days, and that's because they haven't registered for FEMA aid. They either broke the code of conduct staying at the temporary lodging or did not have proof that their homes were damaged in those floods. Now, those that have been told that their home is safe to move back into, they will leave within 14 days of notification, and those still working with FEMA to find a place to live will have until May 11th. Now, according to the county, there are at least 400 program participants who say, who they say have not applied for FEMA assistance, which is an important part of the temporary lodging program. So if they do not register in contact with FEMA, they will be one of those who will be notified to move out within 7 days. So that's why that is so key. Also, just a lot of people that have already registered with FEMA for disaster aid have already begun to receive some of that assistance. Now, there are also those who have been under the protection of an eviction and rent increase moratorium. We just heard just a short couple of moments ago from the county that indeed March 30th, that protection, that moratorium did expire, and that is final. And so as we move forward here, obviously a number of protections that were put in place because of that January flooding. May 11th, the end of that temporary lodging and the rent and eviction moratorium has already ended. Eric and Netta.
Chris, thank you for that information there. Meantime, this morning, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, offering federal disaster assistance for San Diego flood victims. Mortgage insurance and a loan program are available to those whose homes were destroyed or damaged. Public housing agencies and tribes can apply for needed waivers and flexibilities for disaster relief and recovery. And there's a 90-day moratorium on foreclosures of mortgages insured by the Federal Housing Administration and to Native American borrowers.
This morning, we now know the name of a man who was killed in Vista. Authorities say 71-year-old Brian Robert Hugo was murdered on Friday night. Deputies found him near State Route 78 and the Sycamore Avenue exit. The suspects led authorities on a chase to San Marcos. A 19-year-old was arrested on suspicion of murder, and an 18-year-old was arrested on suspicion of being an accessory after the fact. Authorities still don't know what led up to this shooting. You're asked to call the Sheriff's Department or Crime Stoppers if you know anything. This morning, a Carlsbad police officer is in the hospital after a man hit him in the head with a skateboard. We're told a rock hit the windshield of the officer's car as he drove underneath the 5 overpass on Carlsbad Village Drive Friday night. When the officer was inspecting his car, police say 32-year-old Kyle McCord assaulted the officer with the skateboard and then ran away. Officers fired at him but missed. McCord was eventually taken into custody. We're told the officer suffered serious injuries.
This morning, county health officials are confirming a second case of measles here in San Diego County. They say a 47-year-old patient had recently traveled overseas. The case is not linked to February's case, an infant who also traveled overseas. Officials say the person who just contracted measles is in the hospital now, but may have exposed others. The person visited several locations in Encinitas, quite a few of them listed on your screen right there. Take a look. Symptoms include fever, cough, runny nose, and red eyes. Complications are more common in young children. If you or your child have symptoms, call your doctor. And today there are some closures in observance of Cesar Chavez Day, which was yesterday. This morning, city and county offices, courts, and libraries will be closed. County animal shelters and family resource centers will also be closed. Most county parks and campgrounds will remain open. Now, in the city of San Diego, parking meters will not be enforced.
All right, so how's the Monday forecast looking here? Let's check in with Evan and Ronnie. Are we done with the rain for a little bit here?
We have watched as most of the showers have come to a halt, but there's still just a tiny bit of moisture on hand.
Okay.
So over the course of the morning, maybe a couple people might see some sprinkles as this kind of clears out to the east, but that's all we're talking.
Right.
Nothing major. Nice. In fact, there's not much of an opportunity for that to even lead to accumulating rain. Might see a drizzle, a mist out there, but we are watching as this trough of low pressure clears out and as we generally look toward a very dry day. Dry start to the week too. Today through Wednesday, a ridge of high pressure is going to start to build. That ridge is going to help to bring us some warm temperatures into Wednesday. Wednesday is where we reach our peak, and then we'll cool down on the back end with another chance for rain by this upcoming Friday. 65 along the coastline this afternoon, although morning hours are chilly. Inland, we're in the 40s to start off the day, moving to the 60s by the afternoon. Mountains are going for the 30s out there right now before making their way to the 50s by the afternoon. And again, mountains have the best opportunity for some of that remaining rain. Adjust to the Mount Soledad camera a bit. You can see how there's that thick layer of clouds up top, but looking toward downtown, we're not doing too bad. This is indication that we don't have much fog out there, but for mornings to come, we could still be looking at some foggy starts to the morning. It's 6:10 right now. Sunrise comes at 6:36, so about 25 minutes from now. Sunset's coming at 7:09 p.m. If you're curious how much rain we saw over the weekend, well, it was enough to put us over the edge in terms of our average rainfall for the month of March. So we rounded out the month of March with above average numbers. If it weren't for this storm, we would have been below average for the first time in 2024. 1.58 inches in downtown, 1.29 in Carlsbad and Oceanside, 1.8 for Ramona. Mountain Laguna saw 5 inches of snow, 6 inches of snow up at Palomar Mountain. Now, here's that 5-day, like I mentioned. Today through Wednesday, we're warming with really mild conditions. Wednesday is going to be the warmest standout day. And then we'll watch as those temperatures start to cool down with that next chance of rain coming into the forecast as we get toward Friday. Let's check in on your traffic and your border wait times. We'll start off with traffic. Take a look at what your roads are like. Very quiet start to our Monday morning. A lot of green out there, meaning you should be able to head out at your normal speeds and not see much difficulty on the morning commute here and now. This is going to start to pick up, though, as we get into the 7 and 8 o'clock hour for sure. Let's check in on border wait times. You're also ahead of the game a bit. San Ysidro Port of Entry, 100 minutes, so still decent out there. Hour 40 or so it could run you. Otay Mesa Port of Entry going to be about an hour 15 in total to get across that border there. I'll send things back to you.
Evan, thank you so much. And still ahead, the work happening right now to reopen Baltimore's port after the bridge collapse.
Plus, a man escapes death when a runaway saw blade barely misses him. And cruises are departing San Diego to see the upcoming solar eclipse. Which city on the North American mainland will see it first?